everyone, and welcome back to Small Biz Chat Live from New York. I'm Melinda Emerson here in New York City with my friend Dorie Clark. I'm so excited to introduce her. She is a branding expert, keynote speaker, author. She's an adjunct professor at the Fuqua School of Business at Duke, and she's also a frequent contributor to the Harvard Business Review. And Dorie, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you, Melinda. I'm so excited we finally get to meet in person. This is amazing for me.
I know, after years of being Twitter pals
That's right.
and talking on the phone, we finally meet in real life. Isn't it funny how sometimes when you build relationships with people online, when you meet them in real life, you totally feel like you know them?
Absolutely.
Isn't that cool?
That's best.
I know you have written this amazing book called Stand Out, and it's all about branding and positioning yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about if a small business wants to start building their brand, they're new, what is like the first couple of things they should be focused on as they build their brand?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I think is most important is content creation for small businesses. And that may seem to a lot of small business owners like an afterthought or something that's superfluous. Mm-hmm. But I actually want to argue that it's useful to have from the beginning because it's a way of doing multiple things. Number one is it helps spread the message about what exactly you do. Mm-hmm. A lot of the people who are out there in your life, it's going to take them a while to actually figure it out. I mean, we've all seen people, you ask their spouse at a party, oh, what do they do? And they say, oh, something in computers. So when you create content, you show people what you do, and it's a way of attracting the right customers to you,
Sure.
which is the best kind of marketing.
Now, one of the things that I like to tell people when they start talking about branding is their website. Like, social media is great, but dude, where are you driving the traffic to from which is social media, right? It's all about that website, and the content that you talked about is on the website, and you can use that to drive traffic back, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, we all learned, the world learned in 2013 when Facebook famously rejiggered its algorithms that people were just banking on having these relationships that, I have all these fans on Facebook, I can reach them forever. And then they realize, Facebook is a public company with shareholders. They are going to maximize their profits.
Right.
And so, same goes for Twitter, same goes for any of these companies. Right. And so as a result of that.
We do love Twitter the most.
Oh, we love them.
We love Twitter the most. I have to say that. We love Twitter. But yeah, I know what you mean. But one of the things that's interesting about Facebook is I told people, I said, listen, Facebook now wants to charge you to have access to people who already said they love you.
That's right. But if you have the relationship, if you have them on their email list, if they're coming to your website, you own the relationship, not somebody else.
Exactly. And one of the things that I've heard people say is that, well, should I even have a website? Because I got a Facebook or I got an Instagram. Do I even need a website? Yes. Yes, you do.
That's right.
But now, let me ask you this. There's so many people now developing content. There's so much information out there. How do you stand out when I got started on Twitter in 2008 and I became the small biz lady, part of the reason why my business has been so successful is because I was very early to the game and I figured out social media, when Twitter was like 2 years old, right? Mm-hmm. So, but now I don't know that you could redo what I did now.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, these days, if you're starting fresh on Twitter, you could only get a huge following if you're already famous, if you're already a football player or something like that. It's very hard to build that up organically if you're a regular citizen. But here's the thing. I think it's important when it comes to content creation to understand what metrics you should be looking at different stages of your business.
Okay.
A lot of people look at, they create a blog post or some other piece of content and they say, oh, it's a failure. 100 people saw it. I need 100,000 people to see it. And early on in your business, that is not correct. What you need is the right 100 people to see it. Because if you're a small business owner, let's say you write a blog post and it's targeted exactly at your customer, you send that to them, that could be a $10,000, $50,000 sale. That's the best blog post you ever wrote. You don't need it to go viral.
You are absolutely true about that. Now, I know you talk about how people can build what we call social proof. Now, how does one go about building like the credibility to have, social proof?
Yeah, absolutely. So social proof is a term from the world of psychology, and essentially what it refers to, it's basically another way of saying credibility. It's, what are the brands, the affiliations, the associations that you have around you, so that when people are looking at you, they can say, oh, this Melinda seems interesting, I should listen to her.
And yes, listen to me.
Indeed. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can get that social proof and that credibility. And so if you're a small business owner, I mean, some easy ways to do it. Get involved with your local chamber of commerce, your local civic association, become involved in your professional association, things like that. Usually, frankly, because they're volunteer positions, there's not a lot of competition for it, but it gives you standing and status in the community. People are seeking you out. They say, oh, this person was elected by their peers, we should listen to them. Blogging or writing for other, publications that people have heard of, that's another great way to get social proof. If you have any marquee clients that you can cite, then people say, oh, well, if she's good enough for FedEx, then she's good enough for me.
Hey. Absolutely. Now, one of the things that I know that sometimes people do things to destroy their brand. And can we talk about some of the no things people do on social media?
Don't drag the passengers. Don't do that.
Right? What else can small businesses do? We know there's big business gaps all over the place, right? But I'm talking about, what are some of the things that small businesses do that just absolutely shoot themselves in the foot when they're building their brand?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that social media is a place now where a lot of consumers have taken to putting their complaints. This is the place where for so long customers were disempowered. There was no one to complain to. If the business was unresponsive, they just had to deal with it. But social media gave people finally a way to fight back. And that is a good thing for consumers, but for businesses it can be a little bit dangerous, because if someone is dissatisfied for valid reasons or even not so valid reasons, they might start putting things out on Yelp. They might be doing reviews on your Google page. They might be tweeting. And so it's really important for small businesses, at a very minimum, to be monitoring social media channels. They should have a Google alert out on their names, their personal name, the name of their business, so that they can see immediately what is being said, so they can respond quickly and try to tamp things down if there's a problem.
Now, what about like these review sites, like Yelp and some of this stuff out here, where somebody can really give you a sock in the nose, on one of these sites? What is your philosophy, or how do you advise people about that?
Yeah, it's really challenging because obviously you can't stifle free speech. If someone's going to be a jerk, they're going to be a jerk.
Sure.
But I think that one of the best things that you can do as a business owner is, presumably, if you're running a good business, you might have every once in a while a dissatisfied customer, but you have a lot of satisfied customers. And so these are the people that it actually pays, if you can develop good, warm, personal relationships with your customers. If you can remind them, if you can say, hey, if you wouldn't mind, Melinda, this is a useful thing. If someone compliments you, if you say to me, oh, Dorie, I love doing business with you so much, that's the moment you can say, oh, Melinda, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. What I would really appreciate, if you happen to have a minute, is if our best customers come from word of mouth from other customers. Would you mind sharing that on Yelp so that other people can see what your experience has been? And if they're really a passionate fan, they're going to say, oh yes, absolutely. Sometimes they just need to be reminded to do it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like to do is, particularly for my corporate clients, whenever I find out that they love working with my company, I ask them to go on LinkedIn and give me a review.
Exactly, same thing.
And I have, I think almost 60 reviews on LinkedIn. And what's cool about that is when you get enough social proof of people who like you, you don't have to have conversations with people about whether or not you can solve their problem.
That's right, and it drowns out the negative.
Oh yeah.
If people see 59 positive reviews and 1 negative, they're going to say, okay, somebody had a bad day.
Exactly. And the other thing too is, I've heard of businesses, particularly retailers, who have to interact with a lot of different reviews on Yelp. One of the secrets that I have heard is that you should respond to every review, the good ones and the bad ones, so you don't just come off like defensive when somebody gives you a negative one on Yelp.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, absolutely.
So now I know that you wrote an ebook about networking. So can you talk to us about some of your secrets? Like if you're starting out in business, you just love your job, you don't have a big network, what should you do?
Yeah, thank you. It's true. I have an ebook that I did called Standout Networking, and I was prompted to do this. I write a lot about networking because it's an area that so many people, frankly, dislike. They have baggage around it. They even hear the word networking and they say, "Oh no, I hate that. It's terrible. It's not me." And I really want to push back on that because I think that networking is something that everyone can do. And so even if you're starting out, you don't have a very big network, there are things you can do. One, for instance, that I recommend, and this dovetails with our conversation earlier about content creation, is to actually think about networking and content creation as being hand in glove. And so a great way to think about this, if you have a blog, a podcast, something like that, you can actually reach out to people that you admire or want to meet. Maybe it's an influencer in your field, maybe it's a potential client, and say to them, could I interview you for my blog or for my podcast? And they are going to be a lot more, they may or may not say yes. Actually, a lot of them do say yes, but they're going to be a lot more willing to say yes to an interview request than they are what everybody else does, which is, oh, Melinda, can I buy you a coffee? Can I pick your brain? And when you have 50 of those in a week, you can't do it.
Like, dude, I don't talk to anybody longer than 30 minutes about anything. I just can't. I got too much going on.
That's right.
But, you make a very good point about figuring out a way to be figuring out how you could give something versus ask for something, right?
Yes,
Isn't
absolutely.
that what it's about?
Yeah.
Now, I know that you have a secret for people that are introverts. So what do you tell folks that are just really shy and they just want to stand by the food table, when they get to their networking event?
Yeah, well, I can absolutely relate because I'm an introvert, and so
Really?
Yes.
Oh, here we go. All right, you're an introvert, Dorie. Okay, all right. So tell me about how to handle introverts.
Yeah, well, nobody believes me. First of all, because there's
the big keynote speaker is an introvert. Yeah. Okay.
Well, the interesting thing, there's a lot of cultural confusion about introversion versus shyness. They're two different things. If you're introverted, it basically just means you need to spend a lot of alone time recharging. If you're shy, that's the situation when you're a little nervous about judgment or what are people going to think of me. So I'm not really shy, but I am introverted. And so consequently, big events, big noisy events where you're interacting with, 500 people,
right,
they're exhausting for me because it takes a lot of emotional energy to, be out there and on with that many people. And so one permission that I hereby grant introverts, which I granted to myself a few years ago, if there's a certain type of networking event you hate, like, the big 500 person gatherings, don't go to them. I literally don't do it anymore. And it's so much better for your psychology. However, the trick is that doesn't mean you're allowed to not network at all.
Right.
It means you do it
right.
in a different way,
Sure.
and you start doing it more with small groups, and then you'll probably enjoy it a lot more.
Okay. Now we've got time for one more question.
All right.
I'm going to ask you this quick. Small businesses think they should be doing all kinds of stuff on social media. So how could they figure out and tamp down where they should be online?
Yeah, so there's three questions that they should be asking themselves, Melinda, and this is something that I actually talk about a bit in my forthcoming book, which is called Entrepreneurial You. So question number one is where are your customers? I mean, you can find this out by talking to people who are already your customers or your ideal customers. What are they doing? Where are they spending their time? You want to reach them where they are. Number two, you think about where your particular skill set lies or your interests. If you hate video, it's okay. You don't have to do video. You could do podcasts. You can do tweets, whatever. And the third piece that you want to ask yourself is there some unique element of my business that lends itself to a medium? If you're a baker, if you're a florist, you should be on Instagram.
Right.
You are
You
missing
got
out.
something visually appealing.
That's right. Or if you have a really cool process, let's say you own a bar and you make some cocktail that simmers or fizzes or something, you should be making videos of that, because that is what really shows it off.
Sure.
So think about the inherent powers of the medium and how it relates to your business.
Great, great, great. Well, Dorie, thank you so much for being a guest of mine tonight on Small Biz Chat Live from New York. You've been terrific. I think she's given all of us some great tips, particularly if you're an introvert. And really, thank you so much, because I loved your book, Stand Out. And so I'm so glad that we had a chance to meet in real life and to have you on Small Biz Chat. And when we come back, we're going to be talking with one of the Diallo brothers, Jinjan brothers, who were the winners of FedEx's Small Business Grant Contest. And I have to tell you that we have an amazing video for you to get to know them before we even get a chance to bring them to the set. So with that, we'll be right back.